Well, our presentation today showcases Virginia Zeani, La Zeani. We are totally indebted to Ariane Jonka Comstock, who has been the force behind this program. La Jonka, daughter of Metropolitan Opera mezzo-soprano Grace Devine, has had an impressive career in film, television, and radio as an operatic soprano, a music critic, and more. Fluent in 5 languages, she has translated 15 operas and is the author of The Young Person's Guide to Opera. Her twice-weekly opera lectures at the campus on the lake are one of the cultural keystones of our Campus on the Lake program, which debuted in 2001 and continues to be fully subscribed season after season. I'm intensely grateful to her talent, her hard work in creating this program for us. To give you an idea of the intensity of energy and power of these 2 women, I was the listening part of a brainstorming session for shaping this program. I was so mentally exhausted when it was over that I had to go home and take a nap. As I am not woman enough to take on a program like this, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the woman who is, Ariane Jonka Comstock.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you. This from the dynamic Molly Charland, who does a fantastic job herself. You all know from the clips that you've been watching as you came in that we're going to be talking with a diva who was not only one of the greatest singers of all time, but also one of the most beautiful women. And that's not my judgment, but every man who ever sang with her. And one of them happens to have been Placido Domingo, and I thought the best introduction is to read from a letter that he wrote before she began to teach in Indiana. I'm cutting some of this. Among the operatic partners with whom he has sung around the world, Virginia figured as truly a special artist, a woman blessed with beauty, both physical and vocal. She was, in addition, a very gifted actress. Always generous on the stage, she was a delight to perform with. As we all know, in her married life, she enjoyed a wonderful partnership with her late husband, the distinguished basso Nicola Rossi Lemeni. From my heart, I say that I feel there is no artist more deserving than Virginia Zeani of being honored by her colleagues and named Distinguished Professor of Music. Yours very sincerely, Placido Domingo. You're going to see today, I think, what you don't know about her, and that is that she is certainly one of the most charming, dynamic, and generous personalities that you will ever meet. So please welcome a lady whom you will always remember, Virginia Zeani.
Hello. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
We're going to start at the beginning. That's a logical place, isn't it? Virginia, you have an extraordinary start to your career because we say Romanian, I've heard you say Romanian, and I don't think that was a major center of opera at the time that you grew up and began to sing. I'm just going to show a picture of your debut at La Scala, La Traviata. What was it?
Bologna was.
Oh, in Bologna.
In Bologna,
yes.
I thought
it was at La Scala.
No.
What was it like growing up in Romania at that time?
Well, it was before the war. Certainly, I was born before the war. On the time of the war was bad. I was a child in the time. I had not so easy way of living, but I had the music. I started to sing when I was 4, going around my mother and telling her singing. But I didn't know that exists the music because I had no radio. In the time, it was not electricity on the place that I was born. So it was very interesting because I composed a lot of music by myself. And I tell my mother all the time, please don't be mean to me. I was good at invoice. So when I went to Bucharest, I was near 6 or 7 years old. I heard the first time the radio. I said, but this is the things that I want to say to my mother. To explain to her the things in a melody, because I heard before only the gypsy singing with violin, but I never heard the real music. So I saw Butterfly when I was 9, And I came home and I told my mother, I will be an opera singer. And my mother told me, you have to behave, to study, a maximum to marry when you'll be 18 or 19, and to have children and to take care of the life. Okay. It was difficult. Then you say, intervene the war, the problem, bombardments, tragedies that I don't like to speak about them, but I had so many in my life. But probably if I publish a book, I will tell you what the life was in the time. And 1947, after the war, I came to Milano because I had a permission for the government in the time to come to study 6 months in Milano. Now the communist government was there, but the king Michael, was still there. I left in February, the king left in December. It's not to follow me, no? So it was very nice, this occasion, because I could go out for 6 months. Normally, when I arrived to Milano and I auditioned to some maestris of La Scala, co-repetitors, etc., they said, but your voice is exceptional and you have to stay here. So I went to the police and I told that I like to stay in Italy forever. I left my 2 parents in Romania, certainly because they could not come with me. And I came with a lot of things learned in Romania. Means I knew Traviata e Bohème by heart in Italian, and I knew Faust and Manon Massenet in French. So with these operas that I started to study between 18 and 21, I had a luggage full of voice, let's say. And then I had my debut 1 year after because I was well prepared and because I had no more money. I came only with $500. So my debut was in the last moment. They called the soprano for Bologna to sing Traviata, and I saw, yes, I auditioned myself. I auditioned, they took me, and I told that I sang Traviata in Romania, in Romanian. It was not true. I've never sang before with orchestra. So in 3 days, I have to go in the orchestra without rehearsals in the evening of my debut. When I heard the orchestra, I was terrorized. I think, now I don't know anything, and I pray God so deeply, please make me die in this moment, make me die. If I could have a knife, probably I could do something. But somebody pushed me out, so pushing me out, Flora Amici is the first words in Traviata. I had the courage, I didn't see the public, I closed my eyes sometimes, and I sang. And I tell you, I don't remember how I sang, but I remember the applauses. The applauses wake me up. So I thought, oh, I have to, thank you. I didn't know, really, that I can have so much applauses. But in the end of the opera, I have to say, it was fantastic because the impresario, the very important man in the time, gave me 30 Traviata more in the same year. So normally, the enemies told me, oh, they will destroy her because at 22 and a half she will do 30 Traviata, she will ruin her voice completely. And I have to say, they were not right. Because not only that I didn't ruin my life, but I sang for 34 years, 47 till 82. And then I was professor in Indiana University till 2004. So I don't like to say my age, but in the time I was 78.
I know you sang more Traviatas, I think, than any soprano ever has or will. How many?
648 times.
And but many of those were at La Scala, right?
No. I have to say, no. Many of them, they were in all the European capital, Vienna, all over London, Paris, all the capital of Europe, South Africa, South America, I don't know, Egypt, the first time in Egypt with King Farouk. I have things to tell you, but in a book, no? Incredible things that arrived to me. My voice.
How many roles have you ever counted? How many you have total?
71.
71
69
different roles.
will be, but in the Hoffman Tales, the first time in Italy, I sang in La Scala, the Hoffman Tales, all the roles.
All
Olympia, Antonia, and Juliet, and Stella. Yes.
Yeah.
I was the first one to sing in Italy this four roles in the same opera. And my husband, Nicola Rossi Lemeni, that I met in my debut in La Scala, Nicola Rossi Lemeni.
We're getting ahead of
you
ourselves.
see his
No,
costume
stop.
in Boris Godunov.
Go back.
He was a diva in La
We're
Scala.
talking about you still.
Later. So,
What is interesting to me as an ex sort of would-be singer is that you went from the coloratura repertoire that you began
I had a
into a
certain
more
voice,
dramatic.
rich,
Yes, and here's a picture of you in Manon. You sang the Manon of Massenet, right?
I sang the Manon Massenet in French and in Italian, because in Italy they love this. And I sang Manon Puccini, certainly in Italian, because it's Puccini, many, many times.
But there are many sopranos who could not do the two Manons because they're one is so dramatic and the
You
other
are
is
kind
not
to
neither.
say this. I'm happy.
Yes.
A lot of people, I had a life, like say an article in London, a discreet life in a way, because I never pushed myself to be in the front of the others. So
Big
I had
mistake.
rivals, important rivals, Callas. Callas had 2 years more than me, and she was protected by her fantastic voice and fantastic repertoire, but even with the money of her husband, Meneghini, who really created Callas. Callas has to be nominated always Callas Meneghini, or Meneghini Callas, because this was her fantastic. He has done a record house for her. He has done everything that he could do for a wife. And normally with her incredible voice and talent, and with a small or big publicity, her name is not dead, ever will be. But she died at 53 years old. And this was the most incredible sorrow that I felt. When she died, I was really destroyed, because I was thinking, oh my God, we die so young, all of us. So,
Don't we? It's a problem for us all. Let's go back to when you were developing this big voice, because I know that, for example, Callas also had the coloratura, and then she went into the big dramatic roles.
Yeah.
This is something not so typical for you of Aida.
yeah.
And
But the Aida was the fault of Maestro Zubin Mehta. Zubin Mehta conduct the first Traviata in Florence, and the first opera that he conducted was Traviata with me. So he loved very much my voice, and he told me, Virginia, I would like to do an Aida with you, because Aida is not only the dramatic, but has pianos, has feelings, this slave in Egypt, etc. And after 20 years of career, certainly not in the beginning, because in the beginning I sang all the difficult bel canto roles. I'm sorry, just now, that probably the emotion make me, normally I have a very high voice.
she has it when she wants to. Most singers lose their high notes. No, not Virginia. You see, you told me once that Mehta was frightened of conducting opera.
Well, he was fantastic. He asked to me, Virginia, tell me your tempos, because I like to do something nice. And I told him, the tempo Serafin, Tullio Serafin was a great conductor in the time, after Toscanini, certainly. And he conducted me in many operas. So I felt that Tullio Serafin, for the people who doesn't know him, was the conductor who really creates singers. He helped Callas a lot. So he helped me, I can to say, he conducted me, even if he was very, very, very in love with Callas, because Meneghini was, a situation, politic or not politic.
Serafin was in love with Callas? I
He
didn't
helped
know.
her.
I knew he helped her.
Yes.
I didn't know it
Well,
was...
you cannot help somebody
Yeah.
so much without being in love. I don't speak about physical love, spiritual love. We have so many loves.
Okay.
Admirer, know.
All right, I jumped to conclusions there.
Yeah, but no.
Tosca.
I'm out of any love now.
Sorry. Tosca is a role also that you shared a great deal with
Yes,
Callas, and
yes.
that's someone that I know most of the audience has seen recently in the Met production here at the Four Arts. What did you think of that production? She's lost her voice.
Well, I didn't like so much. I find fantastic the Russian baritone.
The Scarpia.
The Scarpia was really a great. And the person of Tosca was not a Roman, not an Italian voice, was a Nordic voice.
She's Finnish.
Finnish, yes, she's her name in this moment.
Mattila.
Mattila, sì, Carita Mattila, sì. And she was a little bit, more Wagnerian. And you cannot confuse Wagner with Puccini. It's the other kind of sensitivity, It's a dream to sing Italian opera. And certainly it's a merit to sing Wagner, and you have to have a tough voice and even a tough character. Her character was a little bit too tough for Tosca, for woman so in love,
Yes.
And I don't know her personally, but I can judge now because I'm out of competition,
Butterfly is one of the most difficult roles there for a soprano, they say, because she has to be a little girl.
Yeah.
And in the first act, it's so delicate, and then she has to pour out this huge voice. How did you handle that?
Well, you speak about Tosca?
No, Butterfly. Madame.
Madame Butterfly. Well, because I had these pianos and this ingenuity in a way, you say that it's the first act of Butterfly, and I was certainly skinnier and good looking and trying to be very modest in the first act. Then I started to give my temperament in the second act when Butterfly is really suffering the departure of Pinkerton. So it was fantastic, but Butterfly is an opera very, very difficult to resist because it's very long. The second act is 1 hour of singing in continuation. The first act, and then the third act. So I had always to be careful the quantity of sound, where to put the sound, where to put the art, where to put the femininity that has to have a geisha, no? And it was very nice. I have to say, it was very nice, and I was happy because the superintendent of La Scala in 1968, always I put the last two names, offered me, not him, but the director artistic, offered me to sing 11 Butterfly in a month. He believed that he will kill me. because I married Nicola, and they say that he was in love with me, but I didn't know personally anything. So he liked to punish me. And he gave me 11 Butterfly. You know what means 11 in a month plus the rehearsals? It's really to kill a voice. But I was ambitious. So I like to show him that even he doesn't love me, the public loved me. And I had 11 performances plus rehearsals with 5 tenors. I had to change 5 tenors. They didn't resist,
The tenors had to give up.
Oh, the tenors are our problem. The next book I have to write about my life with the tenor. Why I married a basso.
You knew the tenor. My mother used to say, carry a hat pin in case the tenor holds the high note too long. Did you have that problem?
No. No, normally no. I respect their high notes. If they have a long high note, I was with them. If they have a short, I tried 1 second after to embrace him and to lose the time. So nobody realized that he had a short note. You have to help each other on the stage. It's so difficult to control everything, not only the vocality that is so important, the colors, the sentiment, but the movement, the attachment that you have to have with your colleagues. Well, I loved this art. And because I loved the art so much that I didn't pay publicity. This probably was a bad thing in my life that, you have to have publicity, but I had not. So no problem, because everybody who knew the opera, I had thousands of letters in this career. And now, if somebody of you is able to do in computer, you see in YouTube the comments that they have about my records, some records that exist on commerce today. They are very, very nice. People that I never know, because And so I'm so grateful that I didn't die before, because
So
now
were we.
at 84, I'm so happy to see what they write about myself.
We're very
And
happy
I
too.
read an article and then I sleep well.
You had such a range of characters, and I find it very amusing that you played not only the courtesans and the glamorous women, but you also played a nun. So let's talk a little about the dialogue of the Carmelites.
And the Poulenc, yes. Poulenc came to see me in Traviata in Parigi in 56. I have to be very precise. And he came to me and said, Miss Zeani, I love your voice. I'd like to have you for my first big opera that will be probably in Paris or in La Scala. But it was in La Scala. So in Italian, because he wanted to give the opera in the language of the country. So in Italia, in La Scala, in Italian, in Paris, in French, and I think in New York, in English. So it was very right, because the dialogue of Carmelites, you have to understand the words. For this, that's my first problem when I teach voice now from so long time, I put the emphasis in the diction, because the diction can give you the possibility to express. And it's very rare to find a good diction in the singers. Because, first of all, some of them, they don't know Italian, some of them, they don't know French, some of them, in English, you cannot speak in English in an American opera. You have to give the accent of the words. And
the
this
diphthongs.
is lost, yes.
Diphthongs are very
Sometimes
difficult.
it's lost, yes.
Yes.
But dialogue, Poulenc came and proposed me this part, and in the beginning I believed the music would be futile, some songs that he has done before, but he was charming, like personality. He was one of the best composers that I know, certainly, but the best human being that I met in my life. Very few, but like you are on the best, because for her, I met a lot of people
It's a nice
here.
comparison.
I
You're
have to
very
say.
sweet. You're very sweet. One of my favorite people in the opera world was Giancarlo Menotti.
Yes.
I think his music has been so
the
grossly
Console by Menotti.
ignored, and that's the
Yes.
next opera I want you to talk about.
Oh,
The Consul. This is an aria, I imagine,
yeah.
Papers, isn't it? Which is so apropos nowadays. with
carte
all
in
the-
Italian, papers, carte. Well, when she rebelled to everything of the situation, and she has to sing a tremendous aria. Very, very important. Menotti was the stage director, and Schippers was conducting.
Thomas Schippers.
Thomas Schippers was one of the greatest conductors that I ever had, but he died very young.
Married to a Palm Beach girl, Nani Phipps.
Yes.
Like talking of marriage, that's a good segue into now you can talk about Nicola. The costumes over there that you're seeing, by the way, the one on the right is Nicola Rossilameni's costume for, I have
Boris.
trouble. I always said Boris Godunov, but a Russian friend of mine corrected me and said it's Boris Godunov.
Yes, Boris
So it's-
Godunov.
Okay. What is
Пожалуйста.
this is your costume. Divas
This is
in
Manolesco.
former days brought their own costumes and had a collection of fabulous costumes. Very often, I remember Licia Albanese brought a costume here. Nowadays, you have to wear whatever the stage director tells you, even if it be a bikini, as Nathalie Dessay does in Ariadne auf Naxos. Which costume is this?
This is Manolesco, Manon Puccini.
Which we showed her.
Manon Massenet was another kind. I have
an
a few-
interest, excuse me, but I just want to call their attention. I don't know if you can see the cross hanging around the male costume up there. That cross was given to your husband by
the family of Shaliapin.
Fyodor Shaliapin.
Fyodor Shaliapin, the family, he died in 1937. And the family, they were great friends to the father and mother of Nicola, to my, how do you call them? In-laws. Yes, in-laws. And when they knew that Nicola had this important, fantastic career, so they gave to him one of the coron. It's not this one, because this one, La Scala has done for him in 1948, but the coron was a little bit deteriorated, so I had it at home. Now, I had a lot of costumes, his costume and my costume. Probably I have 7 or 8 here with me, and 7 or 8 of Nicola. But I have done a big donation to Indiana University because I didn't know that here I need to show my costume. So I left them, butterfly, traviata, a lot of other costume of Nicola, the most important things that we had. So these are the few that I have with me still.
This is Nicola. I think everyone can understand why you fell in love with him. It wasn't just his voice, was it?
Well, I have to say it. It's a very small story, but we sang first in Puritani in Florence. I went there in a moment, like always, they call Zeani, to substitute Callas in a second performance. And I arrived there, we had no rehearsals, like always. Zeani was ready to don't rehearse. And for this, and on the stage, in the second act, was Nicola Rossi Lemeni, that I admired in La Scala many times, but I never met him personally. And so he had the role of the father there, and so we had this duetto, and after the duetto going on the stage, on the wings, he asked me, "Who are you?" So I said, "I'm Virginia Zeani, blah, 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 blah." So I told him something. And then we finished the opera. I had to do encore the aria, Qui la voce sua soave. Serafin has done the first time in his life an encore in opera.
My goodness.
It was
never happens now.
Never, no. And so he was very interested of me, but he had to go the day after, and La Scala were rehearsing Norma with Callas because they were great friends. Don't forget, Nicola Rossi Lemeni took Callas in Italy the first time because he was doing audition in New York, and he came with her to introduce her in Arena in Verona, where she sang in 1947 Gioconda. And she was 24. So we were young in the time, all of us, because we had enthusiasm. We liked to work hard. Today, yes, they start to study voice, even good voices sometimes, and they indulge because still they have something to eat. We had not to eat. Callas, not to eat. Me, not to eat. So she finds her way, and they find my simple way to work very hard to sing 60, 70, 80 performances a year, and till I arrived in La Scala 4 years after. This was in 52. In 56, I arrived to open La Scala with Julius Caesar by Handel. And who was Julius Caesar? Nicola Rossi Lemeni. So after 4 years, we didn't see each other, but we had something in the heart. After 3 weeks of rehearsals, he asked me to marry him. In a hurry, I was singing, oh my God, what I do. I love the career to die, but I love him too. So what I do? I married him in 3 months. And then I had Alexandro.
How long were you married?
Wait, I was married 34 years, and then he died 19 years ago. So could have been today 52, 53, I don't know, make the count. And in 57, I married him, and he died in Indiana University when we were there. Yeah.
And you had a wonderful son who became a surgeon and who's here in the audience today. Nicola, can I ask you to stand up?
Yeah, Alessandro.
We don't have, I'm sorry, I'm Nicola. Alexandro, I'm so sorry.
Is
he backstage?
No, I don't know, but he doesn't like, he's too timid.
You'll see him out.
He's not a singer. The singer will come. It's me.
No. He's a surgeon, which some people might think is more important, but we don't.
But he had enough of music because he heard with us so much operas that now he doesn't go to the opera because.
So you sang Norma. I think our next picture is this Nicola? Is this not
Nicola with Callas?
This is with Callas.
Yeah,
okay.
in La Scala,
and Callas was very fond of Nicola, right?
Nicola, Callas adored Nicola, but effectively he took her with a boat, Russian boat, in Italy. He introduced her to Zenatello, who was the director general of Arena in Verona. So they were friends like brothers, you know. So she was no more his friend when he married me.
No more?
Because she believed that I will be a great rival. But you know, I married Nicola, I had a child, and I always I continued my career. But I was not on the newspaper. I didn't like the scandal, the things, the Plateal things, you know. So every time that somebody was asking, but nothing arrived new in this house? No, they are very faithful to each other. We have no news. And you know, with you but you are a normal person nobody cares about.
Have,
Look the television today.
do we think she's a normal person?
At home I was normal.
Have you ever regretted that you did not go chasing
No.
publicity, chasing career, that you married Nicola?
Never, because I could not know which destiny I could have.
You might have wound up like this. It's mean to show it. I know it's the famous picture of Callas screaming at the paparazzi that were attacking
No,
her.
it was, yes, Bagarozzi, the name of her impresario that he pretended to be paid. So she reacted, telling him to go to hell, and she was saying in Italian bad words to him.
She did a lot of that, I think. What about Renata Tebaldi, another one of your...
She was, we were together all the time, one in an opera, she was a quiet woman, the quiet man.
She was also very beautiful.
Beautiful, tall, elegant. She had a flirt with Nicola 3-4 years before, and everybody knew, and she declared in her book that she was in love with Nicola, but he was not going to marry her. So, and in exchange, he married a girl with green eyes. So she says, Virginia.
The girl with green eyes. All right, now we're going to get into the tenors, which is, there's a book by Francis Alda called Men, Women, and Tenors. So what...
Dummest tenor. In German, they say.
Du musst tenor.
Stupido, molto stupido, tenore.
The high notes. The high notes affect their brains.
No, they are tenor, fantastic tenors. And
what about Mario del Monaco?
Mario was a beautiful boy. Not very tall, but beautiful. And with great temperament. I sang with him Otello.
Excuse me, Virginia, but here you are with Nicola.
Nicola singing Hernani.
And Mario del Monaco.
Yes, and the father of Nicola,
yes.
General Rossi. General Rossi, because Rossi was the father. Lemeni, Macedon was the mother, so he adopted the numbers of her mother too, who was Russian. So the father was Italian, and
he was a beautiful man, wasn't he?
Yes.
And a huge voice, apparently.
Yeah. I sang my last Otello with him. Yes, I had my first Otello with McCracken, that is American too, in Italy, in Rome. And it was the last opera the Serafin conduct.
Who was the best?
Serafin.
Okay. The conductor always wins, doesn't he?
Yes.
Another gorgeous man was Franco Corelli, and I know you sang with him a lot. I don't know if you want to tell the one story that I actually told
I
in
cannot
class.
tell all the story, but they are not vulgar, a little bit, but I don't tell this. He was a beautiful man, beautiful, tall, elegant. I think that he was a little bit innocent. Innocent what means? He married a very nice woman, but we call her La Strega, the witch. Because she was so mean to him. Go to sing, stupid, idiot, or this kind of things. And I don't know how he could stand her. But, love is love. So he was an angel, absolutely an angel.
How about Richard Tucker?
Oh, well, it was the last opera that he sang in Rome. It was Manolesco with me. It was my debut in Manolesco. And he was a very nice, very elegant person, simple, not full of... He was singing all the time with heart, with attention. But on the high notes, he was there. To show the public that he still can sing. So he was very, very nice. And I sang for him in 81 or so on his memorial, and with Pavarotti, and he invited, not him because he was dead, but his wife and the children, they invited me there.
When we were talking about Callas, I thought of Giuseppe Di Stefano, who was her great and good friend and traveled with her on that last tour when she was trying to revive her career.
Yes. I was sorry to have this idea to know about this tour. I don't know, we have to look.
No, I'm looking. I think that's still Tucker.
We have time?
Yes, we have time. No, I was thinking if I was...
you see this. You connect with Giuseppe Di Stefano or with
Just Di Stefano.
He was a beautiful boy, a very temperamental boy, a beautiful voice, but he didn't like to study so much. I remember in Lucia and Puritani, in opera, in Caracalla in Rome, that he sang my tenor, that he was not vocalizing. And his wife, Maria, an American girl, his first wife, was saying, Virginia, why you don't teach him some vocalizes? So he was this incredible name, records, everything around. How can I teach him vocalizes? I was in the beginning of my career. Without vocalizes, I don't believe that exists singers without vocalizes, because vocalizes is like the gymnastic of the breath. So if you don't do gymnastic for the body, to be a gymnast, and you don't do vocalizes for the voice, it's breath. Transform this breath in sound. It's incredible, but it's necessary. So sometimes my students are upset with, Mrs. Zeani, again vocalizes. Yes, like gymnastic. You don't go in public to do gymnastic without doing something, a movement at home.
I think nowadays they're training the young singers to that end, and they're doing a great deal with the Young Artist Program, which is sponsored by Freda Lindemann, who lives here. And they teach them dancing, they teach them acting, and it shows in these high-definition broadcasts.
Yeah,
I think the only other singer I've never known a singer who was as natural and as down to earth and as eloquent as you are, and that was Beverly Sills.
Yes.
Did you know her?
Oh yes, Beverly was a great. Nicola introduced her in La Scala before he married me. I didn't know him. So when she sang the first time, it was Nicola who introduced her, because she was successful in city opera. And everybody, they say, oh, we have Zeani in Europe and Beverly Sills in America. So I was considered very similar to her personality. And I was very unhappy when she died 2 years ago. The time is gone so quick, and she was under 80, you know. And she was a great colleague, very nice, very intelligent person.
One whose beauty was often compared to yours was Anna Moff. Huh?
Oh, yes. Anna was the same. I cannot say bad things because she was a great singer, absolutely. I think that only defect that she has done, after a certain 35, 40, that her husband in the time advised her to make an operation to the nose. And she had a beautiful nose. She operated the nose became perfect, but the voice had not the same resonance, you know?
Even in the nose, yeah. That's why Callas never had her nose done, and Barbra Streisand too.
Yeah.
From what we hear, they were afraid of that, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This is the problem that the artists, they have to understand. If you resonator, it's here, the same. But if this is changed, the sound change, it's like
That was a good one.
Sometimes I give the lessons with some vocalists that I imitated the dogs, because the dogs, they breathe very well and they bark very well. Hi, ho, ho, ho. You know, the movement of the diaphragm. Ho,
You can go home and say you heard a dog recital.
Now, when we finish this conversation, everybody has to bark.
Joan Sutherland sang a lot of the roles that you
Yes.
did. We'll have time for some questions
Yes.
in a few minutes.
No, when you like.
Sutherland sang a lot of your roles.
Yes.
And
I have to say one thing, that I was 5 years ago with her to judge a competition in Barcelona, where I sang a lot of operas, and when the public knows me very well. And we had beautiful days, because everybody was about us, you know. Certainly Sutherland had this, the same, she was lanced by this incredible husband that was working with her vocalists night and day. She was at a certain moment over-vocalized, you know. And I sang in 1957. I sang in 53, 54, 55 in London. But in 57, I sang Lucia. And she was preparing to have her debut in Lucia, because in Covent Garden had not Lucia for many, many years. And he came to see me there, and he postponed 2 years, her Lucia.
so they
And
forget
they
you.
say in her book, it's written, these pages, because he was afraid. So means that I was very good.
He said so, didn't he? He didn't. Well, he said a very nice thing about you with the
Oh,
with
he
the
declared very, I tell you, I don't know him well because I saw him one time in my life. But he says that the best voices of the century, they were certainly his wife, Sutherland, the second, the Nordic.
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
Birgit Nielsen.
Yes. The third, Virginia Zeani.
It was really nice.
I was the number 3.
Yeah.
And the fourth, Tebaldi.
Oh, really?
So I
No
was
callous,
very
you know.
touched. Very touched. No,
Yes.
no.
I have a letter here from a gentleman that everybody knows in connection with opera. I think we all know that name. And he again, about this honor that you were receiving, that Virginia Zeani has always held the highest of artistic and musical standards during her long and very lasting career. And having heard some of her students, and we'll get to that in a minute, I can see they are learning from a master teacher. And it goes on. I won't read the whole thing, except he says, it was my very great fortune to sing with her in my first performances outside Italy. It was an extraordinary experience for me to sing these 2 operas with Virginia Zeani. I learned very much from her intensity and commitment to her art, as well as from her great musicality. That's a nice letter, isn't it?
But you didn't see that?
You don't know which one in here. Everyone's looking and saying, which
it's-
one is the young Luciano Pavarotti?
This is Lucia in Amsterdam in 62, and the one there is Pavarotti. It was his debut in Lucia. He was skinny, not skinissimo, no, but skinny, very elegant, very nice, and very humble. Humble like he was all his life. Because I have to say, I was in Indiana University for 24 years. Every time that he came in Indianapolis, every time, he called me, he sent me 20 or 30 tickets for the university, for my students. And I was always in the first line. He says, not only, in the end of the recital, he always gave to me an encore. Saying to everybody, look, this is my first Traviata, my first Lucia, and my great colleague and friend. And when he was very sick, I had some friends who went to see him, and he asked, is Virginia in good health?
Oh,
Yeah,
he was a generous man.
Very generous.
He said himself that he thought the greatest tenor alive was Placido Domingo, and that's who we have next.
Oh,
What did
well,
you
I have
sing
to
with
say, yes,
Placido?
they are, both of them, incredible. One direction and another direction. Placido can sing everything. He will never lose the control of himself. He's very nervous. He's always tense.
He must like to be nervous because he sings all the time, and when
You
he's
know,
not conducting.
he has his debut in Manon Puccini with me in Barcelona. Then we sang Tosca together, then we sang Fedora. He has the first Fedora with me.
The picture we have up now, it looks
Manon
like
Lescaut.
Manon. Yeah, Manon.
Yes, Manon Lescaut.
Lescaut.
In Barcelona, I remember that he was with his parents and his first son that has exactly the age of my son. Yeah.
My goodness. We're going to go, you have had many great honors during your life, and I think it's very interesting that one of the great honors in Italy is to be the Commendatore, and there are 3 women who have received the Commendatore title, and those would be?
Callas, Tebaldi, and me.
There you go. I think that's quite
Commendatore
something.
della Repubblica Italiana. My husband was Grand Ufficiale, it was more.
Of those 3 great singers, the only one I know of that has gone into teaching is Virginia Zeani, and I just want to mention, to show you some of the singers. You were at Indiana University in Bloomington, which she mentioned before, and Angela Brown is one of your students who sang Aida at the Metropolitan.
Sylvia McNear.
Sylvia McNair, I don't have a picture. I think this is Leah Partridge, who's singing possibly Lakme there. It looks like
yes.
Lakme.
Marilyn Mims, that
Marilyn
is teaching
Mims, who is here and
yes,
teaches.
with her husband.
And Angela Georgiou, I think you can claim as a student, because didn't she say she learned Traviata from you, and she has become a great friend, right?
Yes, she's 40 years younger than me, so when she was 6 or 7 years old, she had my first records. And she learned the singing with these records because she was in Romania, where still communist Romania. She was born in 65. Yeah, 65. And she learned all this kind of repertoire imitating my records, certainly with her value, because she took some of my school, she took some of my colors, pianissimo, but she has a splendid voice of herself. The color of the voice is not imitating somebody, because the voice depends of the physiognomy of your face. Not everybody can sing. The easiness of transmitting this air in the mask, and then to serve the words. So if you understand these three things, how to breathe, how to project, and then how to speak the right language in the right opera, that's all. But it's to arrive to these three things, you know, the pianist,
Easy. I know that one of your students was, this is Angela Gheorghiu with her husband, Roberto Alagna. The big scandal now is that they are divorcing.
They are separated. They don't divorce for the moment.
Yeah, well,
you never know.
She gave up the Carmen for that, and I think it was I think she really regrets it, because the girl that took over had such huge success.
Even Garanza studied a little bit with me.
Garanza also studied with you.
She was in Indiana like 8 or 9 years ago to study privately with me.
And another very surprising person that studied with you, albeit briefly, and you gave him very good advice, was Andrea Bocelli, right?
Yes.
And what was the advice you gave him?
19 years ago, I was in Torino giving master classes, just the year that my husband died. And I have a master class for a month every day, and then it was Corelli for a month every day. Well, he came with his father, like very modest, very simple, very human being. And when I saw these eyes and so beautiful boy, I was really surprised. But he was very simple. He told me, Miss Zeani, I like to sing opera. And he started to sing Carmen. And all this. And then Tosca. So I told him many things which vocalists to do, etc., etc. Overall, I told him the breathing system, this easiness of thing. In fact, he says, I like to be opera singer. So don't fight so much, because to sing opera is very difficult. You have the colleagues here and there, and you cannot see them. You have to, to be very careful. And then the voice had not the amplitude you can say in English, yeah? Of amplitude? Yes, amplitude of a sound that opera has. So in opera, we cannot use microphones. So. And he understood, but he said, but I'd like to work with Corelli now. Work with me a month, and with Corelli another month. And Corelli encouraged him to sing opera. But he was never arriving to sing opera, because he has several operas, but he's not. In Italy, he cannot open the mount in opera. But songs, he's the gods of songs, he make a fortune. I hope he will send me a ticket.
Yeah, you told him to go into light music, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think if you had 10% for
yes,
that.
Yes. He followed my ideas,
Would be a
but
nice prize, wouldn't it?
then we were not more in contact. I was in contact with his wife, the first wife. Then they divorced a few years ago, etc., etc. So I don't like to gossip so much.
I'd like to open the floor now if you have any questions that you would like to ask Madame Zeani, and then we're going to hear her sing one last aria. Does anyone have a question? Someone over here. You know everything.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
What is your favorite role?
Many. Apart Traviata, Butterfly, certainly this is. I like so much the role with agility, where you had to move a lot, and a lot of vocalizing and colors of the voice. So I sang, like I tell you, 71 roles, counting even Hoffman tells the role. But in the end, even if I had to sing a modern opera, a very modern opera, and sometimes I had to cry because the interval musical is like this, and you have to learn them. And I was crying and learning because I promised to do this. So one of these operas, Meyerling, the tragedy of Meyerling, and I believe now I will create Wetzera, Maria Wetzera, with such joy. And the music was absolutely dodecaphonic. We call dodecaphonic 12 tones, was very difficult. So on a certain moment, I had to learn. I went in the premiere in Naples, and it was a big success, for personal success in a way. So she says, perfect. She was a woman in the time, 82 years old, very intelligent, Barbara Giuranna, very intelligent woman. And she says, you see how big success? I have to write another aria for you. She wrote another aria for Palermo that I sang.
Something else to learn.
Oh my God, you know, it was, yeah.
Even if you claim that you were not a diva, and even if you had so many brilliant singers with whom you've sang, and how is it at the end when the light goes off and that's it, that's the end of it? How do you feel humanly to face that obscurity, that the fact that the lights are no longer on you?
You mean at the end of a career or at the end of one opera?
At the end of the career,
Yeah,
yes.
but you decline little by little, you know. You are on the top. Then you see now 60-something, oh, I don't breathe so well, or I have a cold, or so. You have to be more careful. The age changed not only for the voices, changed for all the body. In fact, thank God that I can speak, I can be alert with the brain, but I always say my head is 40, my body is 80. So you have to confess that I cannot do more the things that I've done in the stage. First of all, because I have a pain on the knee.
It's better than the reverse.
Well, you know, that I have to say, I'm so happy that at my age I am alive to know that the public appreciate me now. Because when I was young, it's normal, they appreciate me, and I saw the public in face. I look at them. But now it's very nice, of certain age, I don't feel that I decline spiritually. Probably sometimes I'm tired. No.
Is there another question?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Please wait for the microphone because
Oh, I'm sorry.
your question, and that we'd like that. Okay, go ahead.
We have a friend who's a young lady, opera singer in her 20s, who's flying down here for the great privilege of taking a coaching class with you. What do you teach for an introductory coaching class?
No, I don't hear exactly what you say in the last.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yes,
wasn't
speak a little bit more
You mean,
diction.
what do you charge or what do you teach?
We have a friend
Yeah.
who's a young opera singer in
Yeah.
her 20s
Yeah.
who's flying down here to have a coaching class with you. She has the great privilege of having a coaching class with you in
Really?
the next couple of weeks.
Yes.
And I was wondering,
Oops, sorry.
I was wondering what you teach during an introductory coaching session.
Coaching session. What do you start out with if you're
Well,
coaching?
How do you start the coaching session? What's your first?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the lesson starts with vocalizes. If the person has the patience to vocalize, like I say, to train the breath, to train the projection, and to form depends on which age she starts and what she knows, because sometimes come to me totally unprepared people, and more they are unprepared, more they are impertinent, and they know. Oh, Miss Zeani, I cannot do this. Why you told me to do that? So, darling, you know more than me. Why you come? It's not a problem. Because, you see, to study, it's a patience. It's to have a lot of patience. And some people, you know, they are not interested in a future. They will regret probably in 10 years or 15 years. But now, who cares? You know, when you are 22, you believe that everything is fantastic. That you have time to study. No. No, if I couldn't have time, I could not be here. I could not have this career. The same is Callas, the same is Tebaldi. We start all very young. Tebaldi was like me, 22 when she started. Freni was 21. Scotto was 22 or 21 too. So it was the time that we were not obliged to go to the conservatory, to have universities. No, I finished the high school. I went 1 year in university, later in philosophy, and then I came to Italy. But I came knowing all these operas. I came full of knowledge. Otherwise, which courage to come, to stay in a country where everything was music in Milano. After the war, everything was flourishing. And the people, when rebuild everything, they have enthusiasm that now it's finished, now it's only politic. Everywhere you go, it's politic, and not to take serious the life. I have another idea about everything in this kind. Yes?
You had a question? Oh, I'm sorry. I lost you.
I just wanted to ask you, how do you stay so bella, so beautiful?
So come? So
Bella, bella.
Bella, beautiful.
bella to say. No, I don't think that. I never done operations. I never use fantastic creams. I use a little bit of makeup. That's all. And I do my hair by myself.
Excuse me, but I have to cut in here that she told me that a friend of hers had said, oh, you can go and dye your hair, and you look 10 years younger. And she said, so I look 70?
So you see, it depends how you feel inside. Sometimes, certainly, I feel myself tired with nostalgia of the past, and overall nostalgia of my husband. It's logical, this I never remarried. And this solitude that come around us, because at certain moments you cannot pretend to the children to make company. They have to make company to their children, and to go on, the life is like this. And so the soul, it's alone. But who cares? It's for a few minutes. Then, if you cannot sleep, take half Ambien and sleep.
That's
I advise.
unpaid commercial. Don't you think the arts keep you young?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The people who love the arts cannot become old. Never.
Good news. Yes.
Gain age, but not lack of enthusiasm. This is old age. If you don't like to read, if you don't like to know anything about the world, if you feel, oh, it's not my world, this one, young people, yes, they do their job. They have to prepare their lives. We have to make them understand that it will be not easy. But we enjoy our life still, if we are alive. But if you are dead inside, then it's terrible.
Yes.
Madame Zeani,
Yes.
it isn't often that we have the opportunity to meet such a world-renowned personality, and I want to thank you for being so easy to talk to and so wonderfully to communicate with us. I also want to thank Ariana
Thank you.
for having made this possible. It's
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
joy.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to say something
Wait,
about Ariana.
wait, no.
I have to say one thing about.
What?
May I?
I don't-
Now,
depends
when
on
I
what
came
it
here,
is.
and I went to, we are friends with Guadagno, with Maestro Guadagno. And so when I came here, he called me on the telephone. He said, Virginia, I know that you are here now. When I come back, he was leaving for Vienna. When I come back, I like to have you like good friend, and sometimes to speak about the music together and to have some ideas, a point of view, singers also, because I have this experience even to teach for so many years. And I told him, yes, with pleasure, I'm here, I'm waiting, I don't know anybody. Then I went to see an opera, I don't remember which opera, the first opera that I saw here. And I was by myself because Marilyn, I came here to see Marilyn Mims, who was my student 25 years ago, and she sang in Metropolitan, etc., etc. I came to see her. I don't know, I became in love to this place, warm. I bought a house, and I moved because I took my pension life of 78, so I worked till 78. And this probably made me happy to be here. But going to the opera, I stay calmly by myself, and I heard somebody, are you Virginia Zeani?
No, I looked, and there had been something in the paper, and I said, you are Virginia Zeani.
Yes, she
And I
She
had
says
known
yes.
of her for many,
Timidly,
many
I was-
years and been a fan, and of course it's unmistakable when you see a diva, you know that's a diva, right? And there she was. Virginia Zeani, thank you so much. Virginia. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariana.
And we hope now, thank you. We hope now that you will enjoy the music of Virginia Zeani, one last aria of Diva from The Merry Widow, as she bewitches you.
This is surprise. I have to go.